You're up, buddy. How's it going, James? What you up to this fine evening? Yo, what's up, guys? What are all you doing at this lovely time of the morning? Ah, all good, all good. Just catching up on a bit of rugby that I missed today. I've been spending a lot of the day just chilling, trying to catch up with some rugby. So yeah, there was a couple good games on today. Um, I managed to catch Leinster versus Cardiff, which was really, really good. I watched the Sharks versus it was the Sharks versus the Lions in the URC, and uh, yeah, that wasn't a very good day for me today at all. Like at all, it was quite horrible to see. Ah, Anna, you're in Wales. Take it you're a Welsh supporter. What do you think of the whole Gatland situation? That's that was a big change for Wales, and then Matt Sherratt coming in. That was a big change from Matt Sherratt, especially bringing in Max Llewellyn. That was a big thing. Max Llewellyn coming in. Have I tried that fruit? Yeah, I have. If you could go back to your early 20s and give yourself advice, what would it be and why? Uh, don't procrastinate and follow a lot more rugby. You know, that there was a lot. There was a lot that I could have done in South Africa, where I was able to do a lot, and I uh, I didn't really. You know, at one point I was being scouted by quite a few different provinces, and yeah, I ended up I ended up changing. I didn't push, my career, and that happened. So, I could have been somewhere completely different if I had actually put more attention to my to actually playing more rugby. Rob Brown, you really, really do love fruit, don't you? Hey, Aubrey. Just doing a bit of rugby chat here more than anything. Yes, I do agree with you, Rob Brown. I do agree with you. Yeah, I'm here to talk rugby. If you guys have any questions, if you have any thoughts, especially about the Six Nations, I want to know what you follow. Do you guys follow top 14? Do you follow Premiership Rugby? Do you, you know, or do you just not follow any sports at all? Maybe you're just here to have a chat. Let me know. Wales are bad. I wouldn't say they're bad. They just have a lot of they haven't been managed very well. They haven't been dealt with very well. And Gatland, I think he made a lot of I think he made a lot of bad mistakes, and he ended up losing the squad. So Gatland didn't have the best of time, and I feel with Gatland, a lot of the people they ended up hating on Gatland far too quickly, and they kind of forget everything that he's done for rugby. And yeah, I think it was just time for them to part ways with Warren Gatland and just say, you know what, time's up, and move on. Matt Sherritt came in, and we saw the difference that happened. Matt Sherritt brought in Gareth Anscombe. Um, he brought in Gareth Anscombe. He brought in Max Llewellyn, and I think he brought in Jones as well. And we saw an immediate change in them all. So I think a change was needed for Wales, and it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the Six Nations as to who they are going to, choose as a coach. But hey, it is what it is. Um, I don't think Wales are a bad side. I think they've just been through a very difficult time. But Wales, they have their ups and downs. Wales are going to get there eventually. They just need more time. Is all. Just a little bit more time. Thank you, Anna. I follow a lot of rugby, so I try to keep as up to date on rugby as I possibly can. But this is also one of the reasons why I'm here, is to talk rugby, talk shop. Do, 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 do. So let me know, what is your favorite? Who are you following for the Six Nations? So I'm actually looking forward to. Um, I'm actually looking forward to them all. I'm going to try and catch them all, but most I'm looking forward to is going to be Ireland versus France. Ireland versus France is going to be a very, very big game because both we're looking at both teams. So with France, they have players like Romain Intermac coming back in. In the last game, we saw Thomas Ramos drop to 10, and so we saw Thomas Ramos drop to 10, Leo Barre drop come in at 15, but with Intermac now coming back, he's going to be playing at 10. We're going to have Antoine Dupont at 9, and then Barassi Mofana at 12 and 13. So France are going to have a very, very strong back line. And then in terms of Ireland, you have players like Jamison Gibson Park, and you're going to have players like Ty Byrne. You're going to have players like Josh van der Fleer. Is going to be a very, very strong squad. So having having Ireland play France in the Six Nations is going to be a decider as to whether Ireland get a grand slam. If Ireland are able to beat France, we will see Ireland get, potentially get a grand slam through, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because if for France is literally the only team that is capable of beating Ireland at this moment in time. France, they very strong as forwards. They are very creative in their backs, and yeah, right now they're literally the only team that is capable of beating Ireland, like outright. The likes of Antoine Dupont is just like on another level. But yeah, that's the main game that I'm waiting for in the next round of the Six Nations. But I mean, we have, England versus Italy, which is going to be a spicy game. Then we have, I think it's Wales versus Scotland. Honestly, I think Wales can get points off for Scotland. If they play the way that they played up against Ireland, we could definitely see Wales get some points off for Scotland. How's it going, guys? Rugby talk. Who are you supporting? What do you watch? Honestly, I do think if Wales play the way that they did up against Ireland, so if Wales play the way they did up against Ireland, I can definitely see Wales getting points off of Scotland and potentially getting a win over Scotland, which that'd be a big, big thing. But unfortunately, I do still see Wales getting the wooden spoon. Yeah, Wales. I'm pretty certain Wales are going to end up getting the wooden spoon, which it's shit, but it is what it is. They haven't played well enough just throughout. But honestly, I do feel it's better that Warren Gatland did end up leaving. It's better for Wales, really. Let me know what you're watching, what you're doing. For me, it is very early in the morning, and I mean like midnight morning. So I'm just catching up some rugby that I missed today. Let me know if you guys are interested in rugby, and we just want to have a chat, really. I do not understand your last comment. I do not know what a lith is. If you meant life, it's pretty good. I can't complain. Um, don't have too much to worry about. So my life is good. Nice family, nice everything. You know, got me a hobby that I enjoy doing. Spent a lot of time working on YouTube and building up building up my community, building up my followers. So yeah, I spend a lot of time on YouTube, and this is actually my first live, so it's something I want to start doing more often, and you know interacting with you guys a lot more often, because normally I just do videos. So I wanted to start doing a lot more. I wanted to start doing a lot more lives, and actually having conversations with people, and you know arguing, debating, who knows. But I enjoy pretty much anything sport. A lot of what I do is rugby related, but I mean, I follow from F1 to Premier League, pretty much you name it, whether it's handball, softball, dodgeball, pretty much anything that has to do relating to sports. I mean, just yesterday I was literally watching bull riding. So yeah, but mainly it's rugby, as you can see, Springboks. I was literally raised around rugby from a very young age. If any of you guys know anything about South Africans, it's in our blood. Rugby is in our blood, and you know, we are literally raised eating biltong and playing rugby. So yeah, in South Africa, it's a very different culture to over here in England, where I live now. It's a very very different culture. Questions, people. What are your questions? Let me know, especially if it's relating to rugby or sports in general. I want to know you guys' questions. And yes, I do watch all forms of rugby. That's mainly what I'm here for, is rugby. So if you guys have any questions, want to go through anything, want to debate anything, just had an opinion, let me know. I'm always happy to converse. Always happy to have a chat. To be fair, it doesn't really matter if it's in sport. You know, I enjoy it. Anything sport related that I can get my hand on. What sport do you like the most? By far, it is rugby. I follow a lot of football. Um, so I'd probably say rugby is number one, football number two. And when I say football, I mean, you know, actual English football, not American football. I've never really been the biggest fan of American football, but I appreciate it, for what it takes to do it. But for me, rugby is always number one, football two, and then I don't know anything further than that because a lot in England is based around um, football and rugby, you know, just in general. So, uh, yeah, but for me, I was raised around rugby. That was culture. That's me being raised, you know, from young, living in South Africa. Uh, it's it's something that is, you know, it's ingrained into me, like quite heavily. Plus, to me, rugby is far more of a it's far more of a team sport. I know like both, technically both sports are team sports, but there's always just something about rugby. You have the camaraderie, you have even the supporters are different. The experience that you have going to the experience that you have going to rugby um, is different. You know, hockey. I don't. I know there's a difference in hockey. I've always really enjoyed ice hockey. Ice hockey is bloody fun, and you get to see people smash each other's heads in, which is quite funny. um, but there is a local team. There is a local team by us which I used to watch quite regularly, because you got to think this is like some serious talent to be able to do that. Ice hockey is one thing I always wish I could do, but yeah, ice hockey is no joke. But I'd much rather have my feet, planted on the floor. So yeah, rugby's the way for me. Rugby's always the way for me. But yeah, I had a really bad experience when it comes to football and actually going to go watch the games. So with football and going to go watch and experience the games was always very difficult for me because I always had bad experiences. And every time I would go to watch rugby, like I said, it's a completely different you know, thing. So yeah, I always found the atmosphere around going to go watch rugby games is much better. Like when I went to go watch Manchester United versus I went to go watch Manchester United versus I think it was Arsenal like 10 years ago, and I couldn't be close to any other people. If they were wearing an Arsenal shirt or I was wearing a Manchester United shirt. By the way, I don't support either of them, but there was always this rivalry and people fighting with each other and arguing with each other and swearing at each other. And in rugby, you can literally be sitting right next to your biggest rival club, have a guy sitting right next to you and both of you having a beer together. So, um, yeah, it's a completely different atmosphere. I did enjoy ice hockey though. Like watching ice hockey is always a fun experience because um, it's so in your face. It's very fast paced, and it's always exciting when people just throw their gloves down. But I only catch that because sometimes I'll be up late at night and I'll catch like Canadian TV. Um, so like you have I think it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is which is really good. But I couldn't say that I'll be able to recite people's names or anything off of it. It's more just something that if it's there, I'll watch it, you know, um, because it's just fantastic TV. But yeah, rugby's always the one for me. Rugby is always the one for me. And this is the thing with rugby. There's so much international sport that it always keeps you occupied. Whether you have your club, your club tournaments and things like that, you then also have a lot of international rugby, which is always fun to watch. Whether you have South Africa playing or you have New Zealand playing, you have the Six Nations in, so you have the Six Nations during the year. This year is a Lions year, so every 4 years you get the Lions, which is the British and Irish Lions, and it just happens that this year falls on that, and that's always fun to watch. Then you have the Autumn Nations as well, which is later on in the year, you know, coupled with you know, coupled with club rugby and so on. So it's very much, it's very much action packed through good portions of the year where you get a lot of rugby, and that's what I enjoy. So I don't know. There's just something about rugby. It's very primal, but you know, I can remember I was um, I was very young and I got to see South Africa versus New Zealand, and um, New Zealand had absolute monster players. Now you got to think, I must have been like 11, 12 years old, so I was tiny. I've never been the tallest of people, but yeah, I was really tiny, and I saw these absolute monsters come onto the pitch because the seats that we got were by the entrance, so the tunnel where people come out of the tunnel. And seeing these New Zealand players come out onto the pitch, I mean, majority of them were between like 6'5" and 7 foot. And, you literally just looking up, staring at these people, wondering, how are people this big? And then New Zealand ended up doing the haka, which is terrifying, especially as a kid, because I was pretty close. To see the haka, you could feel the tension. Um, that was fun. That was fun. And then I got to witness 80 minutes of some of the best rugby that I've ever seen. Some of the most giant players just smashing into each other and playing such beautiful, intricate rugby. Um, but yeah, some of these players are absolutely monsters. They are giant. I mean, there's a player called Eben Etzebeth, which he's a legend for South Africa. He still currently plays, um, but the guy is an absolute monster. He's 7 foot tall, right? 7 foot tall. Now you think standing next to this guy that's 7 foot tall, weighing like 120 kilos of just pure muscle. That is a bloody Viking of a man, an absolute Viking of a man. Yebenetzebat is just ridiculous. He is a scary, scary human being. Um, but yeah, it is always lovely to see rugby in person. Because there's only so much you can truly, truly appreciate from watching things on TV and so on. Once you actually see it up live in person, it's completely different. And one thing that I also found is rugby players tend to be really, really nice. Like, um, like really, really nice. So I had experiences with football and other sports where, especially as a kid, all you want is to be able to get a signature or something. You want to be able to meet, you know, someone famous, maybe someone you support or, an idol of yours. And I found this in other sports where, I would always struggle. People would be fighting, and you know, I could never get anything. But when it came to rugby, we always found that the rugby players would stay. They would sign shirts. They would, speak with you. And I had an opportunity to speak with some rugby players, and one of them was it was a guy called the Beast in Tyrera, right? One of the most lovely men you'll ever meet. He's a gentle giant, right? And I mean, the guy is about as thick, wide as he is tall. And he sat down, had a conversation with me, and you know, especially as a kid, having an interaction not only with your idol, not just having a oh hi thank you, but to actually sit down and say, oh, why do you support us? Because obviously he played for the club I support, the Natal Sharks, who's now known as the Hollywood Bet Sharks. To be able to have a conversation with a professional player, but not only that, for him to actually take a genuine interest in you and, actually ask questions, it makes you feel great, and you don't find that in any other sports, where people will actually take the time, sit down with you. I mean, you watch rugby, they take their time after the games, they are speaking with everybody, they're there with their families, you know, they signing shirts, they're taking pictures, they very much there and into you. It's very much a community sport, which is why I love rugby so much. It's very much a community sport, and I just find a lot of the professionals, they are not up their own backsides. They're not up their own backsides, and they actually genuinely nice people. Yeah, you can't generalize through everything because you're gonna get a-holes in any sport. But the vast majority that I've met in rugby has been absolutely phenomenal. Lovely people that they actually appreciate the support. I just find like when it comes to footballers, they so somewhat, at least some of them are so arrogant. Um, I don't know. I've just had bad experiences, but even just meeting someone in the street, just to say hello or whatever, I've had experiences where there's been players where you would say, you know, oh, I know you, and they would stop, and actually strike up a conversation, which for me, that's one of the biggest things that I enjoy is having a conversation with people, which is why I always say, look, pop your comments, ask, I want to have a conversation with you guys because, you know, it makes you feel good. And this is something that I grew up with, and I spent a lot of time in Cape Town. So a lot of the players and whatnot that I would see when I was younger was from the Stormers, and yeah, it's always super super enjoyable. Um, you know, because you also get to see a lot of people around here, and then for um, the Saints, well, so I follow the Northampton Saints in Northampton, and I haven't gotten to meet anyone just yet. The stadium is bloody phenomenal, but I wanna get myself to more games. Um, but yeah, your favorite is Cardiff Devils. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I was literally just watching earlier today Leinster versus Cardiff. Cardiff was not exactly having the best of days, unfortunately for them. Cardiff got their backsides whooped. That was not fun, like at all. It was for me because I support Leinster and I'm a very, very big fan of Irish rugby. But yeah, Cardiff had some serious, serious problems, unfortunately for them. Yep, I'm pretty certain everybody in Cardiff probably felt like that as well. Leinster put an absolute beating to Cardiff. Like, pulled their trousers down and, you know, taught them a lesson like they stole something. But it is a good DP. I have no clue what you mean by that. But that might just be me being an idiot and not understanding. I do think though, Irish rugby has some of the best rugby around. Yeah, yeah, that is very, very true. But a lot of the rugby that I do follow, a majority of it would it's generally URC, but I follow a lot of what's it called? Top 14. Top 14 rugby. I spend a lot of time watching top 14 rugby. That's French rugby for those of you guys that might not know. French rugby is beautiful. Like some of the most fantastic and eye-watering good rugby you're ever gonna find is French rugby. And it's funny though because I get a lot of comments on my videos talking about obviously me being South African, and apparently there's a lot of hate from South Africans in terms of Irish and French rugby, which I don't understand why. And there's a lot of hate from the South Africans on a player for Antoine Dupont, which personally I love the guy. Antoine Dupont, I feel he's one of the most exciting players that's been around in a very long time, especially at number nine, the scrum half. But apparently a lot of South Africans don't like him. I must be weird. I must be different because I love him. Antoine Dupont for me right now is the goat. He's the greatest. Well, I wouldn't say the GOAT. I would say he's getting there, but he's definitely the best scrum half in the world right now. Like, hands down, the best scrum half in the world. And yes, that's over New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland. I really like Ireland's scrum half, Jameson Gibson Park. But yeah, for me, Antoine Dupont is number one. He is the best. But there has been one player that I've been there has been one player that I've been watching a lot, and he's actually Welsh. His name is Aaron Wainwright. I think he is absolutely phenomenal. Like Aaron Wainwright is such a brilliant such a brilliant rugby player, and he's what 26 years old. He's still got so much to give, and he's got so much experience under his belt, and I truly do feel that Aaron Wainwright has everything that is needed to help Wales, become a top level team again. He's got speed, he's got strength, he's very good physically. I feel tactically he still does lack a bit. His ability to read games is still wanting, but hey, who am I to say? I'm not a professional football. Well, not a professional rugby player, but yeah, he is absolutely phenomenal. I think Aaron Wainwright is so underrated because whenever he plays, even when he comes on off the bench as a impact player, um, Aaron Wainwright really does some serious stuff. So yeah, I genuinely do think Aaron Wainwright, he is kind of the future for. I do see him as the future for Welsh rugby. Um, you know, so but the Welsh. This is the thing. The Welsh have so much talent from in and out, and like you look at some of the more experienced Welsh players like Faletau, where Faletau he is just phenomenal. Faletau he can play his socks off, and I mean yeah he's into his mid 30s, and the guy's gotten over 120 caps to his name, but yeah the guy is an absolute phenomenon. It's a shame that he was hit so hard with so many injuries, over his career. But Faletau can play ball. He is bloody phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I genuinely do love watching Faletau play. But Wales they have some serious talent. Even Jack Morgan, who currently captains Wales, is just brilliant. I love watching Jack Morgan play because the moment Jack Morgan puts on that Welsh shirt, he is gonna give everything. He doesn't care whether he's gonna get his nose broken, whether he's gonna lose an arm, whether they're gonna have to amputate his leg on the bloody field. He's going to get it done and he's going to get his ass back up and he's going to go straight back in. You know, that is the kind of players that I love, is seeing players that genuinely enjoy the game, that they are willing to give everything for the game. And Jack Morgan, he's just one of those players that he will give you 101%, and he's gonna love doing everything in his power to win. So yeah, I love watching players like that play. I mean, there's a player called Bundy Aki. If you guys haven't heard of Bundy Aki, he plays for Ireland. If you haven't seen this guy play rugby, and you have any interest in rugby, this is the man to watch. The guy is one of the most ferocious bulldog, kind of players that you ever going to see. And I regularly state this where I say Bandiaki is not playing his best rugby unless he is hurt, unless he's got a broken nose, you know, until that happens, he's not playing his best rugby. No. Bandiaki is just one of those players that is just amazing. And he he came on up again in the game up against Wales. I think he only had 20 minutes of the game. Within the first 2 minutes, Bundy Aki looked like he broke his nose. He got a black eye. He was black because of the so they painted the logo Guinness on the field black. He was black head to toe in the ink, and the biggest thing that I found for from Bundy Aki, you saw him getting patched up by the doctors and everything, and the thing he had on his face was the biggest smile known to man. He had such a big smile on his face, because he enjoys rugby. He enjoys when he's on that field. And Bundy Aki is that kind of player that, again, he's going to give you 101%. Bundy Aki he comes on, he's going to give you a performance like none other. He's going to leave everything on that field. And the guy's phenomenal. There are those players that are like that, and this is something that Rassie Erasmus, who coaches South Africa, the Springboks, this is one of the key things that he puts forward for anyone, right? He says, and he even has a book which he does state this as well. He says, "Look, I'm very clear with my players. I tell them what they are coming here for, what they are here to do, and what it takes to wear the shirt, right?" And you can see it whenever South Africa play. They will run their backsides off. They will give everything physically, mentally. They give everything that they have to win. You see this with Cheslin Colby, who's one of the greatest wingers at the moment. The guy, he can play practically anywhere, and he is going to be on you like a fat kid on a cupcake. He is going to be there everywhere. You're gonna blink, he's gonna appear behind you. You know, um, that is the kind of that is the kind of player that everybody wants. That player who's fearless. That player who's gonna give you everything. Literally, when he leaves that pitch, he's gonna be so tired, he's gonna puke, but he knows that there's no regrets. Everything is there. Everything is on the pitch. He couldn't have done anything more to affect the game, if that makes sense. He's done everything in his power to give them the best chances of winning. And South Africa are known for that. They are known for that desire. They are known for that resilience, which not a lot of teams have. Ireland, though, they do have that. Ireland do have that. They're a very, very difficult team. They're a very difficult team to break down, and they're a very difficult team to keep down, because we saw what Wales did up against Ireland, and they were able to do quite a lot. But ultimately, what happened? Ireland came back, hit them hard, and next thing you know, poof, bye bye. They took the game. They took the game. But yeah, when it comes to rugby, it's very it's very physically demanding, very, very physically demanding. And I do feel it's one of the most physically demanding sports in the world. I don't think there are many sports that are this demanding, and are this prone to injury, because we've seen what it does to players. I mean, Ibn Atabet, he's still suffering from concussions. He's still getting headaches, and he's still not fit to play. And this is a big thing in rugby. There are a lot of players. The moment we were up, I was so happy. Yeah, Wales. They put up such a good fight up against Ireland that even me, I was so happy. I was genuinely thinking, oh my God, we are about to see a giant, giant upset. Wales is gonna pull one out of their hat, and they're gonna take it away from Ireland. They might actually beat Ireland. And the difference is Ireland are a very resilient team. Wales were not able to break them down and keep them down. But Wales' performance, though, honestly, yes, Wales did lose, but I do feel that that is a win for Ireland. Sorry, for Wales. That should be a personal win. Those players should have gone down, finished the game with their heads held high and saying, "This is what we did." They should be bloody proud of taking Ireland so close, so close. It's progress, progress. But a lot of teams will tend to have this after getting a new coach or things like that. The big difference is going to be, are they able to maintain that, right? Because Matt Sherrod could come in, couple games, get some good things out of them, but what's going to happen? Are they going to revert back to their old ways? Because obviously Gatland seemed to have had issues with Anscombe, and he seemed to have issues with Max Llewellyn, which is why they weren't even chosen for the squad. But look at what happens when Max Llewellyn and Gareth Anscombe come in. The creativity's there. There's that fire, there's that passion, there's line breaks, right? People are all of a sudden jackling for the ball more often. People are putting a lot more pressure on other teams. A lot, a lot, a lot changes. You bring in experienced players, you bring in players of the highest quality, because we saw Gareth Anscombe, we saw Max Llewellyn killing it for Gloucester. I think Llewellyn had 7 tries already for Gloucester, right? And they brought him in, and guess what? They started to do bloody brilliantly, as you should. Jack Morgan could only do so much. He could only do so much as a captain to rally them, right? What more could Jack Morgan have done? Like, seriously, what more could he have done? Not much. He was literally dying for it. He got onto the team of the weeks. Jack Morgan got onto the team of the weeks even after they lost heavily. I mean, Jack Morgan himself probably has more caps than like 80% of the Welsh squad. Warren Gatland, when he chose so much youth and inexperience at an international level. They didn't know how to cope. They didn't have much time together playing. And Gatland is a very experienced coach, but I do believe that the um, the squad got the better of him. I do believe that he lost the dressing room, which is why Gareth Anscombe, Max Llewellyn was not part of the Six Nations squad, and eventually ended up losing everyone. So I do feel when Matt Sherrod came in, he made some big changes. He brought in experience. He had the likes of Falatau become fit again, which was a big boost to him. And look at the performance that they made. Once they had the likes of Llewellyn, Anscombe, Falatau come through, along with having players like um, Jack Morgan there, what happened? They put in a bloody stunning performance, as you would expect. Wales have such a great history. They are such a strong side that I feel have been managed incorrectly. Wales do not have the biggest depth of talent out there, right? They really do not. And I feel they they needed to be better. And I feel that they lost a lot of their pride, to wear the shirt. I feel Wales lost what it meant to wear that shirt. And it seems like something that's obviously kicked their, put a fire up their backside to say, you know, get your shit in gear. That's what was needed. Get into gear. And yeah, they made the changes. And they actually did bloody well. They actually did really, really well. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go. It's coming up to 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's lovely having a chat with you all. And yeah, thank you guys for tonight. You will probably end up seeing me doing a couple more lives here and there. But have a lovely morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.